Hello and welcome back to the Jane Dutton Hour. Over the last 4 days, we've seen the power of the labour force in South Africa and also the drama on Johannesburg streets yesterday. And at the cost of sounding like Sarah Palin, I almost feel that I could see Pretoria in the distance. And I think that should spur on a conversation about the impact that labour can have, considering that it is growing by about 101,000 people per quarter, but only an average of 53,000 jobs are being created in that time. Now, I've got with me Adcorp CEO Innocent Dutero, and I believe that you say the economy is absorbing only 1 in 2 potential workers. Why is that happening, and how can we expand that?
Morning, Jane.
Good morning.
The key element really is the performance of the economy, the macroeconomy in general. If you look at over the last quarter, we've been revising our growth projections downwards almost every month, with every incident of maybe power supply issues with Eskom, etc. Our ability or prospect of growing the economy have dimmed, which means that the economy is not able to absorb the kind of jobs that we need to actually make a dent on the employment numbers. If you also look at it historically, the structure of the economy is changing. We looked at the South African economy pre-1995. For every 1% change in economic growth, 1.3% impact on unemployment was felt. What we're finding now is a 1 percentage point growth in economy only has a 0.2% impact on employment. And there are very good reasons for that. The major one is that business models are changing. If I use the example of maybe banking, for instance, if you think back to the 90s, the number of branches that you had.
The tellers, the face-to-face, that's all going,
yes,
isn't it?
you used checkbooks. And checkbooks represented an entire value chain with jobs in it. So the paper industry that produced the checks, the people who counted the checks, who processed the checks, etc., all that is gone. And people don't visit branches. Therefore, those jobs are gone permanently.
I suppose you can understand why unions involved in the coal industry, involved with Eskom, are fighting for their lives, because they feel that they're going to lose their jobs rather than being able to be upskilled to take on other challenges.
Yes, the downside of taking that approach is that you're almost standing in front of an oncoming train.
Yeah.
At some point,
because it's got to go.
Yeah, and the more you delay the structural changes in the economy or your approach to business, the deeper the cuts are going to be going forward. Somebody called it a death by 1,000 cuts instead of a surgical intervention.
Okay, all right. So here we are. It's dire. We kind of understand that. You say the business models are changing, but and unfortunately affecting the workforce. What can people do now to change that, to turn that around? And how do they access money from banks? Because that's proving really hard.
So we're not the first economy to go through this. And if you can go back to the first industrial revolution, there have been changes, transformation in business models. What happens is certain jobs disappear, but new jobs are created. But there's certain things that we need to do to actually focus on what those new jobs are. If you grow the economy, even though if it's jobless growth, what you get is increased disposable income. Those who are lucky enough to have jobs tend to now spend on recreation, entertainment, etc. And those service jobs are created. And we actually need to be good at those. If I look at South Africa, we've got massive natural endowments that say tourism should be something that we'll be looking at. But tourism is not just the resorts that people go to. It's an entire value chain that starts from the time that the potential tourist goes to a South African mission to apply for a visa. Our people in those missions need to understand that they're part of that value chain, and they're in a competitive environment where we're competing for tourist dollars. And then it comes through when they arrive at OR Tambo, immigration, the security, whether their baggage comes through, etc. We need to be focusing on those processes to make sure
and
that.
Are we?
Well,
Slowly.
from personal experiences, there are a number of areas where we've got opportunities to grow or to improve. And we need to focus on those.
Okay, so it's obviously releasing funds. It's holding the private sector accountable for their actions.
It is, yes, the public
How do we
sector
do that?
should be held accountable for their actions, but also remember, government has got a role to play. If you focus on service delivery and creating infrastructure, that creates an environment where the private sector can create jobs. We've seen stories around wastages through corruption, etc. All that money could have gone into service delivery and infrastructure, which should have created jobs in creating or delivering those services and also creating the infrastructure, but even better, in creating an infrastructure where business can then thrive. I will talk also.
And tell me briefly, I mean, how does Adcorp see a growth and a future in this country right now?
So our business operates in probably three relevant areas as far as employment growth and economic growth. We obviously connect clients looking for people or for skills with the skills where the skills are. We connect the candidates with job opportunities, but our focus is turning more onto the skills issue. We find that for the highly skilled jobs which are now being created, South Africa is ill-equipped, or South Africans are ill-equipped to take advantage of those opportunities. You look at automation, robotic process automation, you need skills in those areas. We can't find them. It takes us probably 2 months to fill an opening, and in most cases, you end up having candidates that you probably would not have put in those places. And the competition for those skills is global.
Okay, and we need to reach a global level in that skill set, even if it means bringing those skills into this country, making our country attractive enough. Innocent, thank you very much for talking to us. We're going